Namaste and welcome everyone. I'm here with my close friend, colleague, and teacher, Dr. Dharmesh Mehta of DM Astrology, and we have gone in depth in our series of each planet in all 12 signs, in all 12 houses, and we did Sun, Moon, Saturn, and now because of the Saturn-Ketu conjunction that's so profound, we want to focus on Ketu. So we're going to be taking Ketu through the 12 houses and 12 signs today. It's such an honor and pleasure to be with you again here, Dr. Dharmesh. Namaste, sir.
Namaste, Kṣaṇāti. It is pleasure for me also. Because while you discuss with someone, that time you also realize that what are the corner you have not touched, which other has touched. So it makes you complete. Sometimes it happens that you might have seen the one part of aspect of a planet and you have not touched the other aspect. When you discuss each other, then that will be, you'll be realizing that this also being a part. So that I also grateful that we discuss, and I believe 99% our things match. So
Yes.
there is hardly any difference. So that's alignment we have very good, and that will continue, and that will be benefit for viewers also.
Yes.
So
We should mention our Dasha Summit as well on the August 18th. Should I discuss or should you mention, sir?
Sure. You mentioned.
On August 18th, Dr. Dharmesh and I, along with our friends Sunili Jani Pawar, Sam Sadasi Vajapi, and Narasimha Rao, PVR, will be joining us for the Dasha Summit. This is a free event for anyone who wants to attend. Just go to Kṣaṇāti Jyotish Facebook. You'll find the Zoom link for the registration. And this event is free. So we all get to learn from each other. The teachers get to learn from each other. The students get to learn from many teachers. And so it's a real benefit for all of us. And we also clear up a lot of misconceptions that come up in the science of Jyotish. So we hope you'll join us for the Dasha Summit. And I know you're looking forward to it as well, Dr. Dharmesh.
Yeah, that's a very different aspect of a Vedic astrology that they have also mentioned events of a time, which was missing in the Western astrology and other format of astrology. Whereas in the Vedic, all the sages has given the time frame, and that time frame we divide into the Dasha and Gochar, means Dasha and transit. We are going to discuss the Dasha, and that is a core part of a prediction. If suppose I can't think astrology without the Dasha, so that will be a great discussion going to happen. Viewers, please register today only. It will be very late, and I believe we have restricted some numbers, so immediately viewers should register themselves to get such a valuable knowledge with so many great aspects of astrology. So I also request viewers that please register now itself by going the link Kṣaṇāti has already provided, and we will mention that same link in our this present video also. So you may also directly click there and you can join from there also. So we'll provide the link in this video also.
And it will be great to have you, the master of Dasha, there, sir.
There are a lot of people. I also learn so many things. So let us start Ketu.
Okay, great. Would you like to start with Ketu in the first house, or shall I?
No, let us first give the aspect of the Ketu, because that is, I believe, out of a 9 planet. People don't consider Ketu as a planet. They say that is a shadow planet, or this is just a shadow. But let me think, even though it is not in mass, the Ketu and Rahu both are not in mass, but still their impact is such that now in technology time, we believe that there is something called a network. So that network was discovered by our great sages in the name of a Rahu and Ketu, but they could not able to describe that, how that network works. And I know that's the same network which continues persons from past life to present life to next life is nothing but the Rahu and Ketu. So that is a network which our sages has not able to describe. So they have just mentioned a shadow. And that Rahu and Ketu we are going to discuss today, especially a Ketu part. We'll discuss the Rahu later part, because most of a misconception is about the Ketu. I have seen so many astrologers not being considering Ketu as a planet. They are not. They are ignoring the Ketu part. I know that it is not much written about the Ketu, but that is a beautiful planet by which person can transform. Many people wish, or I believe that everyone wish to have a spirituality. Everybody want to this moksha, but they are ignoring Ketu. Without the Ketu, I believe that there is no way to release your soul from this life. And that is the best part of a Ketu, that it is placed in your chart, but it's so silent, it's writing all your deeds. See, we always do many deeds by our wording, by our thoughts, by our actual karmas. We many times don't realize that we have think something bad about others, but that is recorded by this Ketu. And we all believe in Hindu mythology there is a Chitragupta who write everybody's deed. It is not a person. Chitragupta is nothing but the Ketu placement in your chart, and is registering everything. The first video I have started with my friend Sunil in Saptarishi was also a Ketu, where I say that the Ketu is a receptive energy and Rahu is reflective energy. It is receptive. It receives everything, but it can't reflect. It write down each and every deeds. If in the 24 hours, in 1,440 seconds, whatever the thoughts you see, even though we sleep, we get dreams, we get a nightmare. There also we are putting some deeds, and that all the deeds has been registered in the Ketu. If you are getting a Ketu Dasha in your life, then you are lucky that you get a chance to release all your past deeds. So that much a small introduction was of Ketu is important. Don't get scared about the Ketu. Ketu never make the people scared because it's so silent. You can only realize its result, but you cannot feel, you cannot touch the result of a Ketu. So that is some basic introduction of a Ketu to remove the myth of a Ketu from the viewers. I appreciate you also add something about the Ketu.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh. That was deeply resonant with me. And I couldn't agree more about taking the fear and stigma away out of the fear that is associated with Ketu. Part of what I want to say is that every planet has a direction which it likes to travel. North, south, east, west. Well, guess what the direction of Ketu is? It's to heaven. It's upward. It's to Svarga. So Ketu is this force, and that's why it is the Moksha Karaka. That's why it is the Moksha significator, because it is trying to pull us to heaven. It is trying to take our soul through the various layers of moksha. Now, there are difficult associations because on the process of moksha, we have to let go. And some things are hard to let go of. And Ketu will make us let go of the things which are hard to let go of. And we will discuss that through the 12 houses. But there is a strong karmic past life connection which is associated with Ketu. We have a lot of pending karma in our past lifetimes where we have certain karmic lessons and we have gone through certain karmic patterns. And then Ketu shows up in our chart in this lifetime to show us where our past lifetimes are and where our karmic lessons and patterning are. The interesting thing is just because we have that karmic history, just because we have that karmic pattern, doesn't mean the karma is complete. And so like Dr. Dharmesh says, if you have Ketu Dasha or strong Ketu Dasha, you can complete your pending karma. But this is the karma which is coming from your past lifetime. And so a lot of the times the karma is very powerful, it's very profound, it's very deep. So a lot of the Ketu is also drink the Amritam. As we go back from the story, Ketu drink the Amritam. Why? To become the enlightened, to become the celestial, to become the ambrosia. So the Ketu, it helps us get to moksha, which for most human beings means we cannot be afraid of the death. Because if you are afraid of the death, then you can never truly experience the moksha. Then there's the next layer of moksha, which is letting go of all of our attachments, letting go of all of our worldly desires, the renunciation of the material world. That is also part of the moksha. Then there's actually the ultimate moksha, the Mahasamadhi, where we can end the cycle of reincarnation. If you're going to use Jyotish to help you get closer to moksha, whether it's not being afraid of death, letting go of attachments, even the Mahasamadhi, you must go through Ketu Deva. And that's why Ketu is more like a guardian angel than it is than a demon of any kind. The only reason that we might experience that as a demon is because Ketu gives us obstacles. Why? Because those obstacles are supposed to help us change. They're supposed to help us transform so we can get closer to the moksha, so we can get closer to the potential, so we can get closer to the goal. So sometimes the obstacles, we say, oh, there's this difficult obstacle, let me complain. But actually, when you get through the obstacle, that's when the transformation that is necessary that is going to happen. So Ketu is really like an angel in many different ways, as long as we transform in the way that we are supposed to be transforming spiritually. So that's just what I wanted to mention about Ketu, and I look forward to discussing, hearing Dr. Dharmesh on the first house position of Ketu.
Yeah. See, that is why in Ketu, they have, in Dasha system also, in Vimshatri Dasha, they have put into the starting point. All the nakshatras, all the constellations start with the Ketu only. So they are the lucky people who are having a Ketu in the first house, Ketu in Aries, Ketu Sun together, and Ketu Dasha birth. These are the four different categories of a people having something karmic direct connection. What happened? We are only discussing the Ketu in first house and Aries. The later part of a Dasha will be joining in the Dasha Summit. So what happens when the Ketu in the first house, irrespective of the sign? First we'll discuss just the placement of a Ketu in the first house. That means the body, what you got in this life, has been prayed for so many years. And that is why you got the body in this life. See, when we are not as a human being, we are into the many different yonis we have to pass. While we are transforming our life to the different yonis, we have seen the human beings. Like a dog. See, dog can see us. Like so many birds, like so many animals who can see a human being. During that journey of their life, they always pray that once upon a time, God give me a human body so that I can also release all my deeds. Right? So that is a vacuum, or that is a pray which you have done in the past so many life, that I want a human body, and that you get when the Ketu is in the first house. Whenever the Ketu is in the first house, you have too much a dryness with the people, because your soul and your body is not being attached with the surrounding where you are. You are not being connected with the many people who are at the present with you. So what happened that the soul is not getting connection with the body, and body cannot be aligned with the person. So they are somewhat called a dry people. I always say Ketu is a dry planet. It makes a thing dry. Whichever the house the Ketu plays, that house become dry. You can't realize, you can't see beyond that. See, Ketu is like a cloud. When cloud come in front of the sun, even you can't see the sunlight. The same way when the Ketu plays in the first house, that means this body, what you got in this life, and the soul inside the body has a different characteristic. Normally, when Ketu plays in the other house and the Ketu placement in the first house, you have some dry period, you have some vacuum period, whereby your soul has been resting some time, and then now you got a human being. So they are very dry people. You will sometimes find that why he is antisocial. Why he is not connecting with the people? Why he is isolated? This is a Ketu, indication of a Ketu in the first house. You will not get an attachment. See, when you go to a new place, you are never being again. Suppose when I'm visiting, suppose to a USA, I don't know the culture, I don't know the language, I don't know the food pattern, I don't know the system of a life in the USA. So I will be always being stranger in that place. The same way when the Ketu plays in the first house of someone, he is being a stranger. In my marriage video also I said whenever the Ketu and Rahu in the ascendant, they should be always guided by others. Otherwise they will be misguided. When we discuss the Ketu, we should not forget just 180-degree opposite to it, the Rahu is placed. Rahu always put the instigation. Rahu is nothing but the instigation. It always instigate. Do this, do this, do this. And Ketu silently see and observe everything. And when everything been happened by the Rahu, Ketu is the only. See, in my Ketu video also I said Ketu is nothing but your own shadow. Whenever you walk, whenever you see, your shadow follows you 24 hours. Even in the night time also you will feel your shadow is there. Sometimes you get a background voice in your ear. Whenever you are alone, you are thinking, should I do this or should I not do this? You get some noise. Okay, do it. Okay, don't do it. This is a Ketu. This is the right thing. When you find first answer in your mind is Ketu. When you ignoring that, and when you overlap this and do something which has not been advised, that time it is not advised, then you are out of a karmic things and you are doing some new deeds. You just listen to your voice, inner voice or whatever voice. So when Ketu is in first house, they get instinct. They get what is bad, what is good. And sometimes they become confused because the first house is a body and soul alignment, is a first house. They are not able to channelize their body and soul, and because of the going inclining to either side, either the body side or either the soul side, they become a confused. Whenever Ketu in first house, you will not able to attach with the people, because in front of you you will find the Rahu people. The seventh house we always see is the people whom you face. So you will always face the people of a Rahu, means very selfish people who like to drag you from you anything, and you are just not realizing that you are being a part of certain things which you should not supposed to do, and that is a first house. When we start the Aries, when we look about the Aries, a first sign in Aries, first nakshatra, that is Ashwini itself of a Ketu. The Ketu nakshatra or the Ashwini nakshatra. See, Ketu, all three nakshatras are very crucial point of your body. First, when you talk about the Ashwini, it is exactly your Brahma chakra. It is Ashwini. From a line of this, it is your this portion, this Brahma chakra in the center to your skull. This is the Ashwini. So this is a Ketu part where every secret lies. Ashwini is nothing but the problem solving or solution, where every problem is lies here only. Your brain is having everything. Your Shastra chakra has everything. And when Mesh in the Aries, when the Ketu is there, they are the people who are a good healer. In my one of a video of a healer, I said that the Ashwini, Maga and Mool are the good healer because they got the instinct from the nature. So when the Aries, your Ketu plays in the Aries, that means you are a natural healer. A Kalpurush first sign, a Ketu itself as a default Ashwini Nakshatra Lord. So it is a very good combination. You are a good healer. Whenever you touch anyone, they grow. The second nakshatra of Aries is also a Bharni, which is very friendly with the Ketu and Venus. So Bharni, see this, our scalp is a Bharni nakshatra. Up to our eyebrow, this is a Bharni. That is why this is our luck. Many people see these lines. By this, they tell the fortune. So your forehead is nothing but the Bharni. Bharni means to feel. This is our feel. Right? And the Kritika is our nose. So this is also a very good sign of Ketu in the Aries. And whenever the Ketu is in Aries, that means it's you are the people who are going to do reform. You are going to change something in the life. And being as a fire sign, you are a new beginner. So that is a part of a Ketu being in the first house I describe, and Ketu in the Aries. Both have a different idea. One is on the moon sign and one is on the ascendant sign. So one is affecting you physically and one is affecting you mentally. But if you are lucky and you have a Aries ascendant and Ketu in the first house, and it is your moon sign also, then you are luckiest person. So that much I have to add about the Ketu in Aries and Ketu in the first house. Do share your views about the Ketu in the first house and Aries.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. Everything you said as usual, resonates with me very deeply. I just want to add a few things. One thing that we know about the story of Ketu when we think about Ketu in the first house is that Ketu has no head. Ketu is just the tail, which has no head, which means it can't see with its visual eyes. So most people who are born with Ketu in the first house, it's kind of like walking around without your head on. Now, that has a positive and that has a challenge, because when you don't have your physical head, you're supposed to be seeing with your intuition. That little ding, that little sound that Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, that the Ketu in the first house person ascendant, that should be always with the person. That should always be connected to the person. There are many different types of intuition that we can see in Jyotish. There's logical intuition, there's emotional intuition, but Ketu is more the psychic type intuition, the supernatural type of the intuition. So it is this almost like unexpected channeling from, because Ketu is channeling from heaven, right? It is going upwards towards heaven. So there can be a channeling of a higher power. And so when Ketu is in the first house, you get these channeling abilities. So people very strong with Ketu in the first house have the strong ability to be the channel. Now, you have to look at the dignity of the Ketu, the nakshatra of the Ketu and everything, to see what type of channel they're going to be. Are they going to be a channel for healing energy? If it's in Ashwini, most likely. If it's going to be in a very difficult position, maybe they could be into some dark channeling. Maybe they could be into witchcraft. So we have to consider that these temptations are also possibilities. Now, one thing that Ketu cares about is getting you aligned to your highest potential or frequency at all costs. And even though Ketu is Moksha Karaka, when it's in the first house, it's in a Dharma house. So yes, it will get you to Moksha, but you have to complete your Dharma first. And so oftentimes people who have strong Ketu in the first house, they have this strong Dharma which they must fulfill before they can really begin to associate with the moksha, with the spirituality, with their spiritual evolution. And because, as mentioned, Rahu's always aspecting it, there's this material aspect, how to perform within society, how to perform within the material world. Yes, some people want to go to live in the cave in the Himalayas because they have Ketu in the first house, and other people want to become CEO. They want to become owner of large business, because it does indicate wanting to achieve your full potential at all costs. And see, Ketu will, throughout your life, show you many signs or suggestions. That's why I like to call Ketu in the first house as the giver of omens. So if Ketu is in good position in the first house, this person can see the omen, they can interpret the omen, and they don't go crazy, which means, oh, here is a sign, here's a message from the universe. But if Ketu is in a difficult position, let's say the moon is afflicted somewhere else in the chart, or the Mercury is afflicted somewhere else very strongly in the chart. Maybe they even have mild schizophrenia. They think everything is a sign. This is a sign. That's a sign. That little speck of sand is a sign. That food on the spoon is a sign. They will over-interpret everything as being a sign. So when Ketu is in in its most positive position, we are actually seeing the heavenly omens, which the devas are sending us from Svarga, from the celestial dimension. But if Ketu is very ungrounded, unbalanced, afflicted moon, and sometimes we can overinterpret these omens. But a lot of time, there is a lot of karmic weight carrying into the dharma of the first house Ketu person. What is their responsibility? Maybe that they might have been born poor, but they have to raise a family, so they have to get a job, and they end up becoming very successful in their job. I've seen Ketu ascendant people, they become great gurus, they become great teachers, they become great renunciates, and that's when they choose the more spiritual path associated with the Ketu. Maybe that's part of their dharma. But I've also seen people have very strong material dharmas to fulfill, or roles within society to fulfill with Ketu in the first house. Maybe they will be judge, maybe they will be lawyer, maybe they will be CEO, maybe they will be government official, because it really has this strong karmic calling. Yes, as Dr. Dharmesh said, it's the desire to want to become a human body so you can fulfill your karmas. So what are some of those karmas? Well, maybe you want to be this. Well, maybe you want to be that. This will show up with Ketu in the first house. But I think the most interesting thing about it is that the person is blind, because Ketu has no head. So a lot of times all of the success and change and growth, and even their process towards moksha, even their process towards enlightenment, they might not necessarily be consciously aware of it. Yes, it's happening. Yes, it's going on. Yes, they're getting to their higher position, or maybe they're getting close to moksha, but they might not be consciously aware of it, or even know what moksha is, unless you were willing to have a conversation with them about it. So it's a very powerful karmic position for Ketu in the Ketu in the first house. But because Rahu aspects the seventh house, sometimes this shows a very pure person being attracted to temptation, being attracted to the darker energies, such as a very pure man being attracted to a girl who is troubled, or a very pure girl who's being attracted to a troubled guy. So there is this dichotomy which plays up here between Rahu and Ketu in the first house, seventh house. And so a good compatibility aspect, if you have Ketu in the first house, is that the person that you're attracted to, they're into spirituality, they're into mysticism, they're into the occult, the better side of Rahu, not the darker side of Rahu. That's just some of what I'd like to say about having Ketu in the first house. But the first house is also the personality of the person. And because Ketu is very transformative, the personality and the body type, how the body looks of the person, will be transforming a lot throughout their life. So one time they're a skinny person, 5 years later they're a fat person. 5 years later they're a skinny person again, 10 years later they're a fat person. Depending on the dasha, their body will always be changing. Their face might start to look different as they age. And this was very interesting as we talk about the different positions associated with the body and the different nakshatras and the different signs. It might show where the age might come in, but there is this process, which is also worth mentioning, is that the body changes throughout the lifetime, and the personality can become more severe throughout the lifetime as well. So those are two notable things about Ketu in the first house I wanted to add. Now, when we discuss Ketu in Aries, it's a good position because Ketu has a friendly relationship with Aries rulers Mangala, Mars. So we're looking at Ketu, Mars having a beneficial relationship with each other. However, Ketu fire, Mars is fire. So you're getting a lot of fire here. You're getting a lot of double pitta energies. So if Ketu is in Aries in the 6th house, 8th house, this could even indicate certain health challenges. So you have to consider all the pitta that's being involved here when the Ketu is in Aries, but it's a very strong position. As mentioned in Ashwini, there's a lot of healing potential. In Bharani, very attractive person. People are very attracted to them. They can have lots of creative ability. And in Kritika Nakshatra, that's really when they have strong karmic ancestral shoes to fill. Lots of karma that they must step into and fulfill. But generally Ketu in Aries people, they are very determined, they are very ambitious, they are very hardworking, they keep going and going and going and going. And one of the things interesting about Ketu in Aries is the Aries energy is progressive. It's very advancing. Part of the uncomfortable energy of the Ketu in Aries is Ketu is very transforming. So someone might be, let's say you have Ketu Aries in 10th house. Let's say you have Ketu in Aries in the 10th house of your career. You're progressing, you're advancing, you're growing in your life, you're growing in your career. All of a sudden you get fired. All of a sudden you get transferred to a new land for your promotion. All of a sudden your job responsibilities begins to change. So it is a very good position for reaching the full potential, a lot of success, lots of healing capabilities, lots of kind of, okay, this is my pending karma. What may I do to fulfill it? How can I grow to fulfill it? What is my goal that I can set to get closer to fulfill my potential? And how can I reach that goal? It's a very good position for the Ketu Aries position. But part of the challenge of the Ketu Aries position is all of that pitta energy. So these people can be easily frustrated. These people can be easily irritated. These people can have issues with their skin and with their liver, Ranjaka Pitta. They can also have issues where they can be violent. They could be aggressive. So they always have to know to keep their pitta in balance, keep their pitta in calm. Lots of Shatavari and Anantamulingi and other positive things which will be beneficial for pacifying that Ketu in Aries. But it is a very strong past life connection where, as Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, Ketu is that desire to want to take the form. So if it's taking the form in Aries, it's a desire to progress. It's a desire to grow. It's a desire to evolve. But there will be lots of changes which will happen, which the Ketu in Aries person might not be suspecting. So even though they are growing, even though they are advancing, even though they are reaching their goals, it might not be exactly how they thought it would be. It might not look exactly how they thought it would look. And we can understand Rahu's aspect also bringing some cloudiness or some smokiness on the other side. If the Ketu is in Aries, the Rahu is in Libra, and there can be this fogginess from that vibration as well. So that's just a little bit about the Ketu in Aries, Ketu in the first house. I hope that was interesting for Dr. Dharmesh and our viewers, and I'm looking forward very much to hearing about your position on Ketu in Taurus and Ketu in the second house, especially because some astrologers consider that the debilitation sign of the Ketu.
Yeah, very well said about the first house and the Aries. And that's in the beginning itself, I said that when you see the two aspects, then you realize that there is two different aspects of the Ketu. You might be getting, our viewers are getting two different views, and by combining this, they are getting the complete knowledge. Yeah, that's in the second house when we move to the Ketu. And as we know, that's a dry planet, Ketu in the second house. A second house is a very social house where we place our family. After us, a very important house is the second house where our social has place, our family has place. Finance, wealth is also a part of the second house. But mainly the second house is known as about the sanskara. Whatever the sanskara we have, that is very important in the second house. And where the Ketu in the second house means, whatever the past life sanskara you have brought, that you are going to evolve in this year, this birth. So Ketu in the second house means that they are not been attached with the family culture, but they will develop their own culture. I have seen in the Ketu in the second house when they depart from the family, when they leave the family, joint family or any family, the parents or anyone from the family, then only they rise. It gives only one choice to you, that if you are getting a relation, if you wish a relation, you have to sacrifice the finance. And if you wish to have a finance, then you have to compromise the relationship. And that is why whenever the Ketu I found in the second house in anybody's chart, I say that if you wish to develop your relationship, just forget about the money. And if you wish to earn the money, you have to forget about the relationship. So that happens in the second house, the Ketu, where you have some samskara of your past life, and you are into this life where you've got some different kind of a sanskara. So that's a trend changing placement of a Ketu in the second house, that you are going to change something different in your family. Whatever happens from the earlier age of your grandparents to the grandparents, whatever the system has came in your life, in your family, you are going to change that system, and you will be a revolutionary in the family itself. So you are going to change the system of a family. See, suppose a family has a ritual, family has some belief. That belief they are going to change by the person having a Ketu in the second house. And they are doing some remarkable things by which the family is being known now in a different way. So I believe that the Ketu in the second house, even though you are attached with the family, you are attached with the social, but you are more concentrating on the part where whatever the lacuna is there in your family, whatever the myth, whatever the wrong practice in the family, you are going to change. So that can change, and that changes happens because the Rahu is aspecting on from the 8th house, and 8th house is the ancestral house. So whatever the system, whatever the parampara has been brought from the so-called past families, values, that are going to change, that are going to break by this person. And that is a break, there's a change in the good faith. If there is a wrong customer or following in your family, in your generation, that this is the person who are going to change that wrong custom or wrong system which is prevailing in your society. So I like a Ketu in the second house being as a revolutionary, living with the family or not living with the family, but there's always a detachment, always being balanced, always like to bring something change in the family, even with staying with the family or not with staying with the family. And these are the people who always speak very less, because Ketu is such a planet which makes the people dry. Even though there is a need to speak, they keep a silence. So this is one kind of your energy. When you are not speaking much, you are saving your energy. I don't know how much energy we waste in the speaking so many things, but we are in the good faith we are speaking. So those who are having a Ketu in the second house, they believe in the deeds rather than the only and only speaking about the things. So many people speak about them that they have done this, but they will very less speaking. Now moving to the sign as a Taurus. Somewhat people believe Taurus Ketu is a debilitated and Rahu is exalted in Taurus. But generally in my many videos I say that it is more familiar. The Rahu is more familiar with the Gemini, and Ketu is more familiar with the Sagittarius. So here I don't consider that the Ketu being a debilitated in the Taurus sign. If somebody is believing, it's okay for them. But here in the sign of a Venus, the Ketu is somewhat comfortable. If you have a Ketu in the Taurus sign, that means you have somewhat connections of Ketu by Sun, Moon, or Mars. All three planets are moderate with the Ketu. They all are enemies to the Rahu, but it is not considered enemies for the Ketu. Ketu is always moderate with everyone because it doesn't speak, it doesn't interact, it doesn't make. It's by silent it produces the result. So Taurus Ketu, when Ketu is in the Taurus house, after having so many life of a pleasure, so many life of a material life. Now you got, even though you have a material pleasure, because a Taurus is a material sign. When you have a Taurus, because you see the Kal Purus has given the Taurus as a second house, which is highly materialistic house. See, even I'm not afraid of saying that the second house being a relation also, it is also material. See, why we need a relation? That's a material aspect. Why we need a money? Why we need to speak? Is all of the material aspect. If you are not speaking, if you are a spiritual person, if you are a monk, if you are sadhu, they are always keeping silence, because silence is the main wealth. So here the Ketu in the second house, Taurus sign, means even though you have all kind of a material pleasure, you will not incline on the material pleasure. In fact, having all the material pleasure and not enjoying, that's the control the Ketu has in the Taurus sign. And maybe because of that, the people believe that it's a double-headed. It's not a double-headed, it's a own control, because the Ketu has no sense. See, our all the senses are divided in so many houses and so many planets. While cutting the head, the Rahu is our for this head portion, and Ketu is the lower body. Our all the senses lies within this 10 each, and rest of the body has no sense. Even the touch feeling is also, that sense is also inside the mind. So Ketu is senseless, or there is no sense. So having a Taurus Ketu, that means having the pleasure, but there's no inclination on the pleasure, and even residing and placing with the highly material society, they can make themselves aloof from this. And this is the beauty of a Ketu in the Taurus sign, having all the kind of a pleasure, but not enjoying. So that's the beauty of a Taurus Ketu. And as we know that this is a sign of earth. The Aries is a Dharma, here is a earth. So the main purpose of Taurus sign is to give you wealth, to give you pleasure, to enjoy you the life. Here by placing a Ketu in the Taurus sign, that means you are fully loaded with all kind of pleasure, but you have a control. You know how much to use. What is your need and what is your necessity? That thin line, that is a thin line between your need and your necessity. So this Ketu in the Taurus sign, I say that's a transformation from need to necessity. They have all kind of pleasure, but whatever necessary is there, they only utilize that much only, and they are not going beyond that level and not going behind the need. So I like the Ketu in the Taurus sign, and I like the in second house also. Even though you are with the family, but you are always being dry, not involving too much inclination toward the relationship, because most of the people, by going behind the relationship relatives, they fall in the problem. So here Ketu, having so many relation, having so much wealth, they are how to remain in the prudential life. Why that's middle life, that's learned by the Ketu in the second house. So where I completed my aspect of a Ketu in the second house and the Taurus, I say that let you put your views about the viewers to get about the Ketu in the second house and Taurus.
Everything you say, Dr. Dharmesh, was so beautifully put, and some of the things that you said totally resonate with me. I love when we approach Ketu in these different positions, we approach it from a karmic perspective. All of the planets, all of the grahas are karmic, but I guess some are more karmic than others, and Ketu is definitely one of the more karmic planets because it contains our past lifetime karmas. Now, when Ketu is in the second house, that means Rahu is in the 8th house. Rahu has signification in the 8th house, which means Rahu likes to be in the 8th house. So there is this, depending on the sign and everything, it means from a past lifetime karmic perspective, in your past lifetimes, that you focus on your family, that you focus on artha, you focus on providing for your family, you focus on providing for yourself, you focus on being a member of the family. In your past lifetime, maybe you depend on your family for money and shelter, or your family depend on you for money or shelter. That's just from having Ketu in the second house. So it's likely to happen again in this lifetime. It's possible too, that either your family might depend on you for food and shelter, or you might depend on your family for food and shelter. But Rahu is showing unfulfilled karma. Rahu is showing a desire which must be fulfilled. And when you put all of your family first, and you depend on your family, and your family depends on you, what gets left unexplored? It's the 8th house. It's the mystical. It's the occult. It's being alone. It's the renunciation from the family. It's the renunciation from the material world. So they're usually people's Rahu, when they have Ketu in the second house, there's this part of them which wants to be alone. There's this part of them which wants to say, screw you, family, get rid of you. I'm done with you. I'm done with money. I'm done with family. I don't want to care about these things. I just want to sit here and chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So Ketu in the second house is a very interesting position because of your past lifetime karmic inclination to have so much dependability between you and your family. Now, because this is an Artha house, the karma might not be complete. So that means that you still might end up being needing your family's support, or your family might need your support. And that could be a natural part of the karmic picture. But the thing is it cannot act from a distraction from your spirituality. It cannot act like a distraction from your mysticism. It cannot ask, and Ketu in the second house means you could actually be wealthy. You could benefit financially from doing something which is the outsider, because Ketu and Rahu are the outsider. So if you have Ketu in the second house, you can be good astrologer. You can be good Vastu. You can be good Ayurvedic practitioner. You can be good palmistry. You can read the tarot card. Whatever it is which resonate with you. But there is this potential for you. But if you're always putting your family first and always taking care of your family and forgetting what's important to you, well, that's part of the dark karmic pattern that can show up with Ketu in the second house. You want to break through that karmic pattern. It doesn't mean that you don't care for your family. It doesn't mean that you don't have a job. But don't forget that Rahu is signification in the 8th house. And there's a lot of mystical experience that wanted to be explored through that position. Now, I also don't, in my experience, don't find Ketu in Taurus to be debilitation, although I understand why it is considered debilitation. Because Ketu is the Moksha Karaka and Taurus is the most material sign. So you take an energy which is supposed to take away you from the material world and you combine it with an energy from the material world. Well, that's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. And that is what Dr. Dharmesh said. Oftentimes these people have past lifetime great wealth. Well, guess what happens when you have the same great thing lifetime after lifetime after lifetime? You begin to not appreciate it. You begin to not see the value of it. We cannot even see the value of things unless we've experienced the opposite. That's what Venus and Libra and all sorts of other planets will teach us that one. So if you're looking at this aspect of Ketu and Taurus, it's a blessing and a challenge. Now, right here I have the chart of Bill Gates. We all know Bill Gates. He is the CEO of a big computer company. And we know that his Ketu is 26 degrees in Taurus. He is billionaire. He is billionaire. He is billionaire. And luckily, because Ketu is significator in 12th house, and he has the Ketu in Taurus in 12th house, he gives a lot of money to the charity. But still, there's this extraordinary amount of wealth that he has absolutely no idea what to do with. People, if they had extraordinary amount of wealth, like my guru Amma, every penny that she receives from her organization is going towards proper service. is going towards making the country better, is making her schools better, making this world a better place. But the Ketu and Taurus energy, it doesn't know what to do with all of their riches. And that is part is why it is uncomfortable. I've seen other charts of people with Ketu and Taurus. They are millionaires. And I'm not talking about $1 million. I'm talking about $5 million, $10 million, $20 million. These people are rich. And yet they think they're poor, or they live like the poor. They complain that they don't have enough money. That's part of the blindness of the Ketu. It's like you have everything that you could possibly need in the material world, but Rahu is aspecting that in Scorpio, right? So there's more. There's a desire for more. There's a desire to want, even though you already have everything that you need. So I like that Bill Gates gives lots of his money to charity. But the real evolutionary energy of that Ketu and Taurus, it's not a debilitation. You have to understand that there is a deeper value to money than the pleasure that it can provide you and your life. If you can have Ketu and Taurus and you can see that the money is actually a tool to make this world a better place, you will become a saint. But otherwise, you can be very confused by how much money you have and have no idea how to spend it. But generally, there is a strong ancestral karma. You're looking at Rohini, Mrigashira, you're looking at these different vibrations here. And it doesn't mean that you can't be spiritual. Eventually, it will make you want to renunciate the money, because that's why they say money is not the route to happiness. Okay, that is a lesson that we can all understand and we can all believe. But if you're poor, it's very hard to be happy because you don't have the resources that you need. If you don't have food, shelter, and clothing, it's going to make it harder to be happy. But they also say the rich man's heaven is the poor man's hell. When you have all this money in the world, and you don't know how to use it properly, you don't know that it's from God, you don't know how to put it in the proper organization, that can be difficult karma. That's why they call the Ketu and Taurus debilitation. It's not debilitation, though, because you can have extraordinary wealth. But there's lots of lessons in understanding the true spiritual value of that wealth. And it's not just in the pleasure that it can provide. So I hope that was interesting, and looking forward to third house in Gemini, sir.
Yeah, very well said. That's a view very well matched that on the material side cannot be in a person to go with the reincarnate, means moksha. So that's the main concept about not being in the Taurus, its revelation. Now moving ahead to the third house. Uh, Third house is extraordinary deeds, or what we call as something special work we assigned to, we supposed to do is our third house. That is why we call as a new venture, new beginning, new things. All the new things first comes in our dream, first comes in our subconscious mind. So it's a place of our subconscious mind also, and by which the Ketu is giving a direction. See, Rahu and Ketu is always been considered good in the Upachaya sthana. Upachaya means 3, 6, 10 and 11. We all know. So why it is called better in the Upachaya sthana? Because they both are, Rahu and Ketu, both are sharing its own energy. It never derive energy from others, but they have their own different kind of energies. And that the two life force or two dimension of planets. When Ketu plays in the third house, means your Rahu is in the ninth house. So some religious things you have forget to do in the past life, and because of that, there is some curse on you, and you have to fulfill that in this life. This is a journey of a search. When Ketu in third house, I say it's your journey of search. What to search? You only will realize. When Ketu is in third house, you yourself only realize what kind of a journey or search you have begin with. And they are the people who always fail. I've seen they fail in so many events, they fail in so many incidents, they fail in so many projects, but one project makes them a multimillionaire or a big personality. Why? Because they are in journey of search. Well, your journey of search, you don't know what is your destination, you don't know where you have to reach, and because of you are not knowing of where you have to reach, half of a life, because we all know the Ketu maturity age is a 48. In one of my video of maturity of planet, I say the last phase of maturity is a Ketu. Between 42 to 48 is a time of maturity of Ketu. And we all seen that the transformation of a people's life start in between this age of 42 to 48. This is a real time where people achieve their peak of their life, and while you are in the peak, this is the right time to get out of that position and create something new. This is a third house Ketu, where you are in search of a journey. You will be always been inclined to do something new, what others cannot even think about it. And that is why third house is a house where you have to do something new things about the things which other cannot see. See, it is also a secret to secret house, because secret house we all know it's a 8, and third house is a 8 to 8. So to search and to get that this is a secret is a Ketu in third house. While Ketu is in third house, you search a secret which is still being secret to others. See, like many scientists I have seen Ketu in third house, whole of their life has been under the secret only. To search what is the secret, and they reveal so many secrets by accidentally. You see, all the big invention has been done in the accidental mode. They are going to search something different, and they across something different. So that is a Ketu in third house. I don't know, many people know about the Columbus journey. So it's like a journey of a Columbus. He need to search the India, but he reached to US. So it's like that you are going to search somewhere else, and you reach to some different destination. But for world, this is also a search, research. While we say it's a research, Ketu is a right planet of a research, because search everybody can see by their own eyes. Well, whatever you find from your eyes is a search, and what you can find from your inner thought, inner voice, that is a research. Means you have searched something which has been repeated, or with the authority you have find something that is a research. And Ketu in third house is just nothing but the discovery of a research. Is a research to research, search of a research. And third house Ketu, again, it's a lot of a journey will happen, because the third house is for the short journey. You'll be more connected with the people who are totally different from your caste, community, and religion. These are the benefit of a Ketu in third house, that you will be attached with the so many surrounding people which other don't know. See, sometimes people are always have a tendency to reside with the tribal people. There are a lot of, in discovery you'll find such kind of a thing, that people have gone to the woods or in the jungle, and search a new people, search the life where we are not aware about it. It's all the tribal life. So this is a journey of a Ketu in third house, and many adventure, many new research will be found by Ketu in the third house. While talking about the Gemini Ketu, it is totally a different energy. By having Ketu in third house is a blessing, when the Ketu in the Gemini is not called as a blessing. Why it is not called as a blessing? Because you cannot use your logical brain. When Ketu in the Gemini, why it is a debilitated? Because a Gemini sign by original Kal Purusha is a third house. Third house is your communication, your thoughts, your belief. It's all in the third house. Where Ketu is in third house, your inner sense is not allowing your logical mind. Whatever things comes in front of us, firstly is in the logical mind, and while we are applying it into the our sense, with our five sense we test it. It's a litmus test, really a litmus test. When somebody tell us that if this planetary position is this will happen. We don't accept everything by what we say. I believe that what I say, what you say, people generally doesn't accept, and that we see in the below comments that I have this different view, I have this. This is a good thing, because we have also our own this mind, and other also have their own mind, but to convince them is a Gemini sign. So all the logical things which the Gemini sign is born with the Mercury, we all know the application of mind. This is a soft sign of a Mercury, and the Virgo is a hard sign of a Mercury. There are always a two sign. We divide into the own sign and the Mula Trikona, but I say there's a soft sign and the hard sign. Every planet where it is Mool Trikona is a hard sign. Hard sign means it can't be changed. Whereas in the soft sign, it has a chance to manipulate. So here the manipulation of Mercury is possible with the communication. Suppose I say something, and if you are not agree, or the viewers are not agree, then I come to know that people are not agreeing with my things. So I will change my views. I will change the mind of the people. I mean to this. I was not supposed to say this. This kind of manipulation people do. That manipulation only happens in the Gemini sign. It cannot be happen in the Virgo sign. Virgo has a very strong belief. Yes, then yes only, and no, then no only. But Gemini people you can turn, because it's a male, female, or dual sign, or whatever. So that a logical changing sign, while Ketu is placed, Ketu has its own traits, and it cannot be changed, because this all the belief has come from the past life. How you can deny anything of a past life which has already been happened? So that is why it has not been so comfortable, the Ketu in the Gemini sign, because Gemini needs logic, whereas Ketu has no logic because it has no sense. That the reality you have to face, which Ketu cannot be accept, and Gemini sign cannot be tolerate. So because of that two different pole of a Ketu and the Gemini sign, it has not been matching. Although Ketu doesn't have any enmity with the Mercury.
I think we fixed it. You're good.
Sorry, there was an interruption in between. So what I say that whatever the two different pole, when there is a two different pole of a Gemini and this Mercury, the always Ketu always goes with the pole of its own senses, rather than convincing or manipulating of a Gemini, and that is why it is not been called as a suitable sign for the Ketu, because it doesn't change its belief. Ketu doesn't change its belief. Wherever the Gemini are the people, or Gemini is a sign where the logic can change your belief. So that is why it has not so been comfortable for the Ketu with the very hardcore, very strong belief. And that is why it is not being considered. Although the Gemini signs start with the Mars, Rahu, and Jupiter, etc., somewhat comfortable for the Ketu, but still insidely it is supported, but outsidely Ketu cannot change its own belief, and that is why there is always a conflict of a Ketu in the Gemini sign. So that is a little outcome of Ketu in third house and the Gemini. You may produce something different and good lights on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh Ji. As always, very informative and appreciated. When I like to think about K2 in the third house, I'll use a few different words, but one is influence. The third house is the influence we have, the intentions we set, the motivations, the ambition. So a lot of influence comes out of the third house. When K2 is in there, that means in the past lifetime, you were easily influenced. So in this lifetime, you see Rahu aspecting in the ninth house. This would be much saying that, okay, I'm going to be influenced, but I'm not going to let other people influence me. I'm going to question my guru. I'm going to question my father. I'm going to question the society and the organized religion and the religious law, and I'm going to question the dogma. And that is because for many, many lifetimes, I have my own intentions. I have my own feelings. I have my own understanding. Now, this is a house of seeking and searching, and I love that Dr. Dharmesh put it that way. Now, these people with Ketu in the third house, it's considered an upachaya position. So it is considered a favorable position just by that alone. When the nodes are in an upachaya position, it encourages your evolution with that energy. So it will encourage you to actually want to work on yourself, to work on your karma. You know, I mean, what's better in life? Having hard karma and your chart wants you to ignore it, or having hard karma and your chart is encouraging you to always be working on it so you may resolve it? Definitely the latter. So that is why Ketu is very good position in the third house. Now, this is a term of short-term travel, so people with Ketu in the third house, they often find themselves traveling to different locations, maybe not permanent relocation, but they find themselves going from this place to that place for this or that opportunity. Now, one of the things that Ketu can show is a void, but not always is the void literal. Sometimes the void is metaphorical, but we understand that the third house is the house of the siblings, specifically the younger siblings. So sometimes people with Ketu in the third house, they're the oldest sibling. That is one possibility. It also could show that they're the only child, that they have no siblings. And this energy means that all of the parents' attention, which might have something to do with that Rahu in the ninth house, especially with the father, is solely focused on the single child. So he's telling the single child, this is how you should be. This is how I want you to be. This is how I want you to form. And eventually the Ketu person with the Ketu in the third house, they'll want to break free of all of this. I don't want to be like you, Dad. I don't want to be like you, Mom. I want to be my own person. And they will choose a lifestyle for themselves, possibly from traveling to a foreign and or exotic location where they can truly be themselves, where they can truly kind of allow themselves to figure out their identity without the influence of religion, without the influence of their family. So sometimes people with Ketu in the third house and Rahu in the ninth house, they break outside of the religion that they were born into. They break free of it. So if they're Christian, they break free out of Christian. If they're Amish, they break free out of Amish. If they're Hasidic Jewish, they'll break free of the Hasidic Jewish. They'll break free of the most, especially the most conservative, organized aspect of that religion. Because Rahu in the ninth house and Ketu in the third house, it is seeking. It is seeking. That means you can't be given the answer. See, that's the thing about religion sometimes. It wants to give you all the answers. But if you're given all the answers, then what type of seeking are you doing for yourself? None. You're just blind faith believing all of the answers you're giving. So Ketu in the third house is seeking your own answers, trying to find the truth, trying to reach your potential, traveling. And it's an upachaya vibration. So there's a lot of transformation to wanting to become a better person or to wanting to become the best person that you can be. These people can be very into self-help, bettering themselves. This is also a physical house, so they can, and a communication house, so they can be very influential communicators. Ketu in the third house, if it's in a good position, when they communicate with you, they change your mind after they communicate with you. So this is very good position for someone who wants to be a public speaker, politician, or teacher, or any, because it's aspecting the Rahu in the ninth house too, someone who can have strong influence on someone who can be powerful and transformative in their communications. So that's just a little bit about what I want to say about Ketu in the third house, which I like a little bit more than Ketu in Gemini. Now, I'm not saying that Ketu in Gemini is completely debilitated, although by many fashions it is considered to be, just like Taurus, one of the more difficult or debilitation signs of the Ketu. Even though Ketu and Mercury are somewhat neutral towards each other, Ketu is this planet of moksha and spiritual intuition. Mercury is the planet of logic, rational, intellect. So when you combine these energies together, they can get very uncomfortable. They can get very especially if it's aspected by the Rahu in Capricorn, correct? No, in Sagittarius. Rahu in Sagittarius. So it's aspected by the Rahu in Sagittarius. So they're trying to understand something logically that can't be understood logically, which is why the Rahu in Sagittarius is saying, well, if you have to understand it logically, then you better just try to be the best person you can be. Because when it comes to understanding God, when it comes to understanding the supernatural existence of nature and metaphysics, our brain is only capable of understanding such a small percentage of that. And yet the Ketu and the Gemini person, they will want to be able to understand it. They'll say, I want to understand reincarnation. How does it logically work? I want to understand astrology. How does it logically work? Well, what does God look like? And do we get to talk to God when they die? They ask all the impossible questions that there is no absolute answer to. It's because their mind is trying to understand spirituality logically. And although that is beautiful to try to explain spirituality logically, and a good Ketu-Mercury combination is good for people like you and me, Dr. Dharmesh, who want to do astrology or they want to do other occult sciences, because we're taking something which is spiritual, but we're also explaining it logically and scientifically. So maybe someone with Ketu and Gemini, their best way of understanding spirituality could be through a spiritual science like Ayurveda or Jyotish or Vastu or yoga, something like this, which has a much more scientific background to it. But blind faith believing in things and trying to understand what we can't understand spiritually and metaphysically through our mind, through our logic, is very strong with the Ketu in Gemini. Very interestingly enough, on a positive side, it can create a challenging energy of having a difficult relationship with technology. But I've also seen some aspects where if it's in the third house and it's in a good position, the person improves their relationship with technology over time, and then they might actually become quite profound or quite innovative within technology. So even though initially it's not the best for your relationship with technology, by working with it, it encourages it to grow over time, especially if it's within a good position of the chart. But because Ketu is in Gemini, the buddhi is spread out wide. And Ketu is already very erratic. So that means sometimes Ketu in Gemini, the person wants to, I want to study this for 3 days. I want to study this for 3 days. I want to study this for 2 days. And they jump from one thing to the other. They jump from one thing to the other because it's hard to focus and study just on the one thing, because the Ketu, wind, Gemini, energy, fire, it's all very erratic and unpredictable. So again, part of the remedy of that vibration is, okay, it's normal for you to be attracted to many different areas of study, but try to stick with something. Try to stick with something that you have started and follow through the studying of that to the very end. They're the jack of many trades, master of none. So it doesn't mean that you have to study it permanently, but you have to focus on the study till you get the information that you need before you can move on to studying and starting something else. So again, they can be very distracted in terms of their study, but it does benefit them to kind of zone in and focus in on studying 2 or 3 different things and not being distracted from those things. But more than one, because it's Gemini, but not more than 4, 5. This is too many things to focus on. Just pick a few things, focus on them, and you'll notice your intellectual energies are much more stronger that way. So I hope that was interesting on third house, Gemini, Ketu, Gemini, Ketu, and I look forward to hearing Dr. Dharmesh on Cancer and the fourth house.
Yeah, you go into so much deep root, and sometimes we feel that while listening our own video, when I also listen, I say that okay, I have speak this thing, but I have left this thing. So there are always been so many things to be speak. But still, I believe that we both are giving justice to the topic. So that is somewhat a satisfaction I have. The one of a reason of starting my own channel or being spreading this knowledge is nothing but to give up to the society, and that is a good thing about the Ketu. When Ketu allow you to share something, that means that has been left with you in past life and that you have unable to share. So Ketu in the house is, it says that that house energy you have utilized maximum in the past life, and because of overdose of that use of your past life, this life it has been frozen, it has been dry up, it has been covered, so that you are not focusing on that, and you are focusing on the part of a Rahu. And it also says, see, there are so many theories prevailing that wherever the Ketu is placed in this life, the Rahu was there in the earlier life. So you have done so much accelerate your things, and because of the more accelerating that things, it has been now there need to be some full stop or some comma, some dry, some vacuum to be created, and that is why the Ketu is placed in this house in this life. Very well, and very well applied when Ketu in fourth house. Why have built that background? It is to understand the Ketu in the fourth house. When Ketu is in fourth house, means you have all kind of a pleasure, but unable to enjoy that pleasure. You have a big house, you have a big car, but you are not able to enjoy. Every time you are moving one to another place for your work or for your pleasure, so your bungalows, your flat, your residence is been always utilized by others. You have created, but utilized by others. Sometimes you have to leave your birthplace, because the fourth house we believe is your birthplace. So your birthplace doesn't gives you a credit, it doesn't gives you a way out, and to search your real purpose of your life, you have to move out. And whenever a Ketu in the fourth house, I always advise the people, just come out from your birthplace, then only you will realize what potential you have. Because in the same place, your act, your deeds will not be recognized, because Rahu in the 10th house. So you have to create your workplace something different from where your origin or where your father has been there. So you have to move out, and you have to do your own things, and that support by the Ketu in the fourth house. So Ketu in the fourth house, a highly materialistic house. Fourth house is nothing but the materialist house. See, second house is itself a material, whereas fourth house is a material pleasure. What the material pleasure we get is all the fourth house. In second house, we got a resources to purchase the material things. Now in fourth house, we possess the material things. That is why the Mars comes in front. That's the property, land, all the buildings, residence place is the Mars. Then Venus, it says luxury, comfort, cars, jewelry, all the luxury things. So, and Mercury is your intellectual property. So all this property which you have acquired by the wealth, it's all about to enjoy by the fourth house, and where the Ketu is placed. See, fourth house we all believe it's a last time before just we end up our life. People consider past 10 years of our life. Then eighth house is the exact moment where you live about to leave this earth. That is eighth house, and 12th house is after your death, where you go. So 4th house is nothing but the preparation of your next journey. Also we consider 10 years before your life, or before your ending of a life or death, is a 4th house. So while Ketu is in the 4th house, I have seen, by creating so many wealth in abroad or overseas, by creating so much name, fame, recognition, then people come back to their birthplace. In the past 10 years, 15 years, they come back to their origin place, and then they serve the nation. So such a kind of a Ketu in the 4th house means having material pleasure, but how to make yourself aloof, how to make yourself balanced with available resources. Everybody have a house, but house is only place to reside, to recharge yourself, not to rest, not to being too much involved in the pleasure. That is not a 4th house. That is not your residence. You have to just to have a break of your deeds is a 4th house, or your residence place. But this is a 4th house where the Ketu is placed. Then you have a material pleasure, but you never so much affection, attraction of that pleasure. In many people, I have seen that in Bombay we find so many people who have left their villages, they have left their own town, own birthplace, and now they are putting more hard work in the city like Bombay. So what happens that if we ask that how much wealth you have, they say we have too much big bungalows in our native place, but we are doing hard work here. Why? Because you have a pleasure, but you can't enjoy that. You have to create new things, new pleasure in new place. So whenever the Ketu in 4th house, just leave your birthplace, leave your mother, leave your origin, and start something new. That is a good mantra for Ketu being in the 4th house. You are not came here to enjoy pleasure. You came here to create the pleasure. It is your duty to the society to create the pleasure and give it to them, either your own family members or to the society. So that is a, yeah. The timing of 4th house is exact midnight. We all know it's a exact midnight time of 12 at the early morning, what we call is exactly a 4th house. And that is a time when the Ketu is in 4th house. That means in the night, your so many things are being planted, and you should be utilize your that potential energy by planting so many good thoughts in your mind during the night time. And now coming to the Cancer, the Ketu in the Cancer. Now here it's I like Moon and Rahu together, but I am not so comfortable with the Moon and Ketu. See, the Moon has a two child. That's one is the Mercury and another is a Rahu. That's a two node of a Moon. Moon, we all know Moon is a mood. Our mood is governed by the Moon. One has a logical mood or logical mind, that is a Mercury, and one is a illogical, or we call it as a subconscious mind. A conscious mind is a Mercury, and subconscious mind or unconscious mind is a Rahu. So that is why when the Rahu and Moon is there, then you have a more inclination, you have a direct connection to switch on and switch off your conscious and subconscious mind. You can have a balance between the conscious and subconscious mind. But when Moon and Ketu is there, why I am telling this, that is a Ketu placement in the Cancer having also some same inclination of a Moon and Ketu. Moon and Rahu is also creating Grahan Yoga, and Moon Ketu is also creating Grahan Yoga. When Moon Rahu is there, you are accepting everything and you are reflecting also simultaneously. Whatever you learn, whatever you earn, you spend also. Whereas Moon and Ketu is that you are absorbing, you are realizing the new potential, new mood of your body, but you are not able to reflect, and that makes the confusion. You know, the lunatic, idiot, these all are the different categories of Moon Ketu and Moon Rahu. Whereas schizophrenic is also a part of mood, where complex develop of inferior complex or the superior complex. That's a schizophrenic nature is being created by the Moon Ketu. So that is why when the Ketu is in the Cancer sign, is also reflecting, because Ketu has in the container of a moon. is in the container. The sign I always believe is being a container where the planet lies. So the container of Ketu itself is a moon, and which is not so comfortable for Ketu, and that is why the dryness has been created in your mind, your mood, and that is why you are not able to reflect your actual mood, actual sensation, actual your emotions to the people. Sometime in the Cancer Ketu, when the Ketu is in the Cancer sign, that means you really feel something, but you cannot express. And because of non-expression of your moods, non-expression of your things, the people take you other way. People misunderstood you, and because of that, there's a distance always increase. So the Ketu in the Cancer sign, it is always being created dry mood, or they are not able to express their mood. And suppose this sign has been placed in the sixth house or eighth house, that is a worst condition of a Ketu in the seated in the sixth and eighth house. Or 12th house. 12th house is considered as a moderate for the Ketu. But if it is in the Cancer sign in the sixth and eighth house, that means you are getting all the energy from the cosmic rays, cosmic energies, but you cannot express, you cannot identify, you cannot define it, and because of that you are creating confusion within. And that is why a good aspect should also be there for the Ketu in the Cancer, but more dominatingly the person are getting a negative shade of Ketu in the sign of a moon. And that is why if you have a sign, Cancer sign Ketu, then you must be somewhat a social, you should be expressive, you should create your own circle. If you are shy in the nature, if you cannot express your things, then you write everything. Great poet I have seen, great writer I have seen, Ketu and Moon. Why? Because they can plot, they can think about it, and when they reduce in writing, they become famous. But when they are good expressive, like a poet, they are either a expressive also, that is a Moon Rahu, and when they cannot express, they just leave their poems unknownly, and some people discover them, and then they become a great. So that is a Cancer Ketu. And definitely I have completed the fourth house Ketu as a dry, and Cancer also. It is also not so comfortable sign for the Ketu not to express, because Cancer is the first emotional sign. It's the own house of a moon where the Ketu is placed, which is having a no sense, so it cannot be expressive. So that is why the emotion comes. They are about to feel, they are about to say, they are about to cry, but cannot cry. They see that what is the situation, how I can cry. So that kind of dryness, that kind of a schizophrenic nature one can find in the Ketu moon or Ketu in the Cancer. So that is a short discussion about the Ketu in fourth house and Cancer I have. And I'll be eagerly waiting that my friend Kṣaṇāti will also put his inputs about this too. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Dharmesh, I have to say you covered about everything there is to cover when it comes to these energies, but I just want to explain them in a different way since we always tend to agree upon these things. I'm just going to explain it a little bit differently. Whenever you see the Ketu in the fourth house, you understand that Rahu's aspecting in the 10th house. So you have the fourth house, 10th house axis there between Rahu and Ketu. Now, when Ketu is in the fourth house, this is the house of home. So I've seen many conditions throughout my research where the person is living away from the land of their ancestors. The person is living away from the land that they were born. A person can even become a refugee, which means through certain military actions or whatever, they're actually forced out of their country. And so Ketu in the fourth house can be a difficult karma because the fourth house is where the home is. And because Ketu is there, there's lots of transformative and erratic energies there. So constantly they are searching for the home. I agree with Dharmesh Bhai that later in their life, there's nothing better for them than to finally settle down somewhere that they can call home, where they can put their feet in the sand and they can ground and they can relax and they can say that this is the home that I have worked so hard for. But is it an easy journey to get there? Not necessarily. Again, you have Rahu aspecting in the 10th house of career. So maybe they have job opportunities. which take them certain places, but those places are not where they want to live. Another interesting note about Ketu in the 4th house, just because I do the astrocartography, and I notice with people who have Ketu in the 4th house, if they have bad astrocartography, their life can be very poor if they're living in a bad location for themselves geographically. If they have Ketu in the 4th house and they're living near one of their auspicious lines, living closer to one of their benefit lines in their chart, this will be a much more positive place for them. But because the 4th house also represents the home and the early childhood and the family, there can be certain conflicts with the mother. There can be certain traumas that happened in the early childhood. So it really does kind of benefit the person to, it doesn't mean that they don't come back to their homeland eventually, but it does benefit them to leave at some point, travel the world and see new experiences. And because Rahu is in their 10th house of career, maybe they will have greater career success in a foreign land. Maybe they will have greater financial material success in a foreign place. But as mentioned by Dharmesh Bhai, there's a moksha vibration associated with the 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house. And a lot of people misconceive how strong of a moksha vibration there is in the 4th house. So when you have the moksha karaka planet in the 4th house with the moksha vibration of the 4th house, we have to let go of things around home. Maybe we have to let go of our homeland. Maybe we have to let go of our relationship with our mother. Maybe we have to let go of a job which is holding us back and not allowing us to reach our full potential. But letting us go of these things, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Ganesh removes all of the obstacles from our life. And from there we can experience certain bliss. And so there is this real blissful energy of Ketu in the 4th house once you find the right place to be living, once you find the right community to be living in, once you break free of your constraints and all of the aspects which are limiting your freedom. And that can be geographically. Certain countries limit their freedoms. Certain places, because of the people that live there, they limit our freedoms. If you have Ketu in the 4th house, you have to break free of that vibration. It's very important. Now, Ketu in the 4th house is the past lifetime karma, and it has this energy of the land of our ancestors. And so even though people with Ketu in the 4th house might at times find themselves living away from the land of their ancestors, they're still supposed to be a patriot towards their land. That means even if I leave the country, I still love the country that I was born in. I still have so much love for the country that I was born in. You know, I think of great gurus like Yogananda, who he spent so much time in the United States building ashrams and everything, but he would always go back to India, and his love for his homeland was insurmountable. So Ketu in the 4th house, very strong vibration. It's a very strong karmic vibration in terms of the home, and it can kind of bring you outside of your homeland and your relationship with your family to experience unexpected things. And eventually it does benefit the person to stabilize around the energy of the home. Now, when we're looking at Ketu in Cancer, it's a little bit more challenging vibration. Not that Ketu in the 4th house is an easy vibration, but Ketu in Cancer, Ketu likes to eat the moon for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So when Ketu is eating up the moon like this, that's the mental energies. See, Ketu is moksha, loss, and karaka. See, let's say someone like, we lose a dog. We have a pet dog. We lose a dog. We cry, we're sad, then we let it go. We lose our grandparent. We cry, we're sad, then we let it go. Even if we lose someone close to us, like a close friend, we cry, we grieve, we let go of it, we move on, we try to keep going on with our lives. Ketu in Cancer is a difficult position for that, because it shows that when things affect us emotionally, like the losses, if we lose pet, if we lose family member, if we lose friend, that grief, it can stay with us for a long while. We feel the emotional suffering. We miss the person. We feel the sadness. We feel the pain. We can see this with the Cancer vibration in general. But when Ketu in there, there's a lot of loss that the person might have to experience throughout their lifetime. And that loss is really going to hit them in their heart. Just like with Ketu in the fourth house. The fourth house is the house of the chest. So it's going to hit them in their heart. So this Ketu in the Cancer vibration, it's very, very, very intense in terms of the emotional impact that things have on people. Now, it also gives you empathic intuition if you have Ketu in Cancer. That means you're going to be able to feel what other people feel. So if other people are feeling positive, spiritual, happy, selfless, generous, you get a natural high off their positive vibrations. But you have Rahu aspecting Ketu. So that means that sometimes people are their energies are going to weaken you. They're going to bring you down. They're going to sadden you. They're going to lower you. So one of the remedial aspects that I like to bring in for Ketu in Cancer is to have very strong emotional boundaries. And this means because of your empathic intuition, try to surround yourself with people who have emotional maturity, who are emotionally going to lift you up, and not people who are sad and depressed and are emotionally going to be taking you down. Because there is a vulnerability to that with Ketu in Cancer. So that's just a little bit of Ketu in Cancer, Ketu in the fourth house, and I'm looking forward to hearing your insights on the fifth house and Leo. It's a very unique position, Dr. Dharmesh, and I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And very well said about the Ketu in the fourth house. And that's the same thing I said, that our views are very much into the align. And that is only two dimension we always describe. So while entering in the Ketu in the fifth house, everything becomes silent. Because the fifth house is our past life. Ketu itself is a past life. Whatever the deeds we have done in the past life is nothing but it's a reflection of by the Ketu. What we do for the next life is a Rahu, but whatever we done in the earlier life, in the previous birth, that is all about the Ketu. And here, the two forces of a past life joined together, and that is the beauty of a Ketu in the fifth house. So you got a chance. Ketu in first house, Ketu with the sun, Ketu Mahadasha, and Ketu place in the fifth house. I said the four different category of a Ketu. We have already discussed in the Ketu in the Aries and Ketu Dasha. But here, when Ketu in the fifth house means all your past life deeds has been hidden. So you got an opportunity. You got an opportunity in this life to create a new deeds. See, while considering the Ketu in the fifth house, we agree that the Rahu is in the 11th house. 11th house, so many things can be seen, but the ultimate thing from the 11th house is the desire fulfillment. So, irrespective of deeds you have performed in the past life, you are going to enjoy, you are going to complete your desire fulfillment. Why it is happened? Because Ketu has still been covered with your past life deeds. So to whom you have meted in the earlier life, to whom you have already been exchanged the deeds, done something for him, or he might have done something for you. It's a Ketu in the fifth house means this is a some kind of a pose it is given. And whatever the desire you have of a present life that you enjoy, and then you'll be adding or subtracting from your fifth house. Is a house of child. Many people see and tell that Ketu in fifth house or Rahu in fifth house gives a problem in progeny. If you have a Ketu and Rahu in this house, so to whom you are looking for? See, with the two people we have a highest deeds exchange. One is our spouse and another is our child. Because to whom we are going to live for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. And every day you are exchanging some deeds with each other, with the spouse and with the children. Spouse we will cover in the seventh house majorly, but that seeded in the fifth house itself. And most is your child. So whatever the deeds or whatever the good deeds you have done with the people, you will not find in this life, because they are being hidden. You are given, you will be given an opportunity to deal with the new people. By putting a Rahu in the 11th house, you are socially so much connected with so many people, because 11th house is a social house. So you'll be connected with so many people. Again, the Rahu in the Upchaya house, and by aspecting Rahu in the 5th house means all your deeds being recorded in the 5th house, and that whatever you have completed your own desire from other people, in next life you are going to pay whatever you have get from them. So Ketu in 5th house means it has somewhat posed, hided your past life deeds, past life connection with the people, and that is why it takes us so much time to bring the new generation. Childbirth, it takes a problem, because you will be getting some random people in your life, not the real people what you are seeking about. So Ketu in 5th house, sometimes people call as a pitrudosh. Pitrudosh is nothing but to whom you have an ancestor, you will not find a way to come back to the same family. That's what the Hindu mythology believes. And it's not a mythology, it's a real belief we have, that the Ketu in 5th house means you are not meeting a right person to whom you have some real connection of a past life, but you are meeting a random people to whom you are either creating, either exchanging your deeds. And by way of the Ketu in the 5th house, all your desire will be fulfilling, because Rahu plays in the 11th house. So about the creativity, because 5th house I believe is a house of creativity. What you create in the earlier time, earlier life, before the kid this birth, whatever you have been created, that is kept aloof, and you will be given an opportunity. Start from A. Suppose you have completed your education. See, 5th house is a higher education. You have completed your higher education, your bachelor degree, your master degree. Then suddenly you will come to know that this degree has no meaning. I have interest in this field. And then you'll acquiring something new and different knowledge. This is a Ketu in 5th house. So you will be not gain from your own knowledge, because your own knowledge is being kept for something different aspect, and you are jumping from commercial aspect, commercial education, to a scientific research, or from one field to totally a different or new dimension field, because whatever the education you acquire is not being connected with your deeds, and you have to proceed some different deeds. And many times it happens that Ketu in 5th house, you have to turn your life. You have to turn your education line. Suppose you have decided here that you wish to become a doctor, but you might not get a desire or expected percentage. So then you have to end up with finding some different line in the engineering or commercial line. And ultimately that becoming a doctor become a dream for you. Why? Because your past life deed is not getting you support from this, and you have to create something new, and you have to fulfill your wish. Now entering into the Ketu in the Leo sign. See what happens, that the Sun Ketu relation we call as a Grahan Yoga again. Sun Rahu is still something better, that your soul is absorbing certain energy by the Rahu, whereas your soul is being covered by the Ketu in the Leo, or Ketu in the with the Sun. We are talking about the Ketu in the sign of a Leo. See, Leo again start with the Magha Nakshatra, again the position of Ketu placement. As I mentioned that the Brahma Chakra, your Brahma Chakra is Ashwini, it is in Aries, in the Ketu in the Aries sign. While belly button, when you have a belly button, that is a perfect place of a Ketu in the Magha Nakshatra. Magha is exactly a belly button. So here the Ketu, what place in the sign of a Leo, because Leo is a Kalpurus 5th house, 5th sign, that is stomach, that is your intestine, that is a place of your belly button. And by curing and by applying some medicinal properties in the belly button, you may acquire a good health. So that is a secret of Ayurveda that is given in the Ketu in the Magha Nakshatra, or Ketu in the Leo sign. I somewhat like better Ketu in the Leo than the Ketu in the earlier sign of Cancer, because here the Ketu is absorbing certain aspect of your soul. It is maturing. It is developing something new in your Atma, in your soul, and sometime you may realize what is your purpose of journey of this life. Ketu in the Leo sign, I have seen many times that they are being intuition. They are getting some intuition of what they have to supposed to do. So they leave everything what they are doing presently, and they turn completely a 90-degree or 180-degree, sometimes 360-degree turn they will take during the Ketu. Either transit in the Leo, or either they have a placement of a Ketu in the Leo sign. We all have just 3 years before we have experienced the Ketu in the Leo sign, and there are great changes of a spirituality, of astrological things has been evaluated in the sign when the Ketu was in the Leo sign. So there is a Ketu in the Leo sign. Some of the better things, your good deeds of your past life being somewhat helpful. It is not good for the Ketu in the fifth house as a placement, but somewhat it is better while Ketu is absorbing the energy of a Leo sign. So energy of a Leo sign says that give focus to your soul, give the direction to your soul, and where the Ketu is in the Leo sign, that means you are somewhat directing your soul towards the journey of a moksha. So somewhat a Cancer Ketu is not so favorable, but the Ketu in the Leo, Ketu in the Simha Rashi is somewhat better. So that is somewhat an input about the Ketu of fifth house. I say that whatever you have created being not been utilized, and you have to create something new. And while touching the Ketu in the Leo sign, that means some soul has something hidden inside that you have to bring outside. So that is a two different aspect of a Ketu in the fifth house and Leo sign. Suppose these two combination comes together. If you born in the Aries ascendant, obviously the fifth house will carry the Leo sign, and fifth house Ketu also will be there. So Ketu is in fifth house as well as Ketu in the Leo sign. There, somewhat you'll get a connection with your people to whom your soul has met in the earlier life, and you will be going to pay them. You will be always going to pay them. See, in Rahu Dasa, whatever the things you have to take from others, they will come and give you. In Ketu Dasa, whatever things you have to give to the people, you will go and give them. So this is an opportunity, this is a time whereby you have to, whatever you have to give, you'll able to give them. So that is a good combination. If the Ketu plays in the Leo in the fifth house, there's a two different good aspect of this. So that much some my inputs about the Ketu in fifth house and Leo, and I eagerly waiting for Kṣaṇāti to put his own inputs about this.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh Mehta. I really appreciate everything what you share, and as a K2 Leo myself, I appreciate a lot of what you said. It resonates with me. Now, when we're looking at K2 in the fifth house, we're looking at a past lifetime karma planet in a past lifetime karma house. So there's a lot of a karma being associated with this house, and it's also a dharma house. So these are the deeds which you, from your past life, which you're carrying into in this lifetime, and how are you going to carry them into this lifetime? Now, one of the attributions of the fifth house is that it's the house of romance. Now, seventh house is for marriage and everything, but we find attraction and romance within the fifth house. This means that we can be attracted to people who we have past lifetime karmic connection with. This means the people that come into your life, which you feel a connection to, possibly even romantically or attractively, you might have a past lifetime connection to these people. Now, that can either be a really good thing or that can be a really bad thing. Because you can have, that means if you have a girlfriend and you go through horrible breakup with them, but you still have K2 in the fifth house, let's try the relationship again. Then you break up with them. Let's try the relationship third time. And the definition of insane is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting there to be a different result. So Ketu in the 5th house can be a little crazy in terms of us going back into these old patterns romantically with ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, ex-partners, people we've already tried to walk that road with. Now, it's different if you feel a past lifetime karmic connection with someone that you haven't explored in this lifetime. Then maybe you should explore that a little bit, because just like as we mentioned earlier, just because you have karma there doesn't mean the karma is complete. So maybe they were your partner in their past lifetime, but one of you became a widow, or something horrible happened to one of you and you didn't get to be partners for that long. So now they come back into your life in this lifetime and you get to have a longer relationship with them. So consider this as a possibility. Don't go back to your old ex-boyfriends and girlfriends. More so look for that soul connection, that soulmate connection from your past lifetimes, to tap into that vibration. Now, this is mentioned in education. So a lot of times people with Ketu in the 5th house, as Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, their educational route changes. They have interest in this, they are studying that, then all of a sudden they have interest in something else and they are studying that. And this is also true for Ketu and Leo to some extent. And so you also find yourself following these different routes of education, and that can sometimes make it harder to get a formal degree. Maybe it's harder to get your bachelor's degree. Maybe it's harder to get your graduate degree. Maybe it takes an extra year. Maybe it takes an extra 2 years. Maybe it takes your whole entire Ketu Dasha. But whatever it will, or your Ketu return, or whatever it might be, but you can expect certain challenges and obstacles as you change through your educational route until you find the one that's the best for you. And this 5th house is also a house of spiritual techniques, and Ketu is a very spiritual planet. So here we can learn about bhakti, we can learn about chanting, we can learn about Sanskrit, we can learn about certain spiritual rituals and techniques and all of these things. And it's aspected by the Rahu in the 11th house, which means we might have some friends from other cultures, from other traditions, that want to introduce us to their cultures and traditions, and they have something to show us. They have something to give us. They have something to offer us. See, because the Rahu in 11th house position is very important for the Ketu in the 5th house. Because even though some of your friends, maybe they party too hard and they will lead you into the wrong direction, but the right kind of Rahu friend is very spiritual, very mystical. They say focus on their spiritual, mystical lives, and they're there to open spiritual doors for you. And see, the 5th house, because it has spiritual techniques in Ketu, one thing that Dr. Dharmesh said, I agree, it is kind of hidden. Or it can act like it is hidden, which means it needs to be unlocked. It needs to come out. It wants to be unleashed. But what acts like the catalyst or the trigger for the unleashing of that spiritual power, for the unleashing of that spiritual memory? It might be an education from a friend from another culture. For example, I have Saturn and Mula in the 11th house. When I was introduced to Jyotish when I was 11 years old. And I remember when I hear the word Jyotish, I said, Jyotish, what does that mean? And in my whole head, the whole day, all that was playing was the word Jyotish. Jyotish, Jyotish, Jyotish. So similarly, there's these friends that you will have in your life. They can have big impact on you to kind of act like a catalyst for your spiritual transformation. Now, as I get more into the Ketu in the Leo sign, I have Ketu in Purva Phalguni, so it is in the Leo sign. And this is a strong position for because of also double fire. Just like Ketu is fire and Leo is fire. So you have double fire. So you have lots of fiery vibration which is associated with this. The first nakshatra Magha is Ketu ruled. So then you have double Ketu, double fire. So we can think about how intense that will be, especially if it's in a condition that's affecting your health negatively. But let's say this Ketu in Leo is in a good position, like a Kendra in the first house, 10th house, 7th house, in a good position here. It can actually very much push someone to go towards moksha, to push someone to reach their full potential, to push their potential to reach their destiny. And if there's one thing I can say from being a Ketu Leo person and having Rahu in Aquarius, the Rahu in Aquarius side of you, it's willing to settle for what works, because Aquarius is very pragmatic. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it works, it works, which means it can be kind of very hard to change, because things aren't bad, they're working out just fine. They could be better, but they're fine. So Aquarius says if it works, it works. But that Ketu in Leo, it will not settle. It refuses to settle. It will constantly be pushing you to reach your full direction, to reach your full destiny. So even though in one aspect of my life, things are okay, they work fine, I have no need to complain. Because of the Ketu in Leo, it says, well, that's not good enough. You need to push to your full potential. You need to push to your full direction. Allow that sun's energy to come through the Ketu. Don't settle for anything. Don't settle in any areas of your life, because settling will leave you with unhappiness. The only way for you to truly find happiness is to never settle and to constantly be seeking that highest potential. And that's some of what I like about the Ketu in Leo. I hope that was interesting, Dr. Dharmesh. And I look forward to the concluding first part of our discussion here on the Ketu in the 6th house and Virgo positions.
Yeah, so by attaching the Ketu in the 5th house and Leo sign, there is a double, as we know, that double transit. It's a double confirmation, we can say, and that we both have agree on the same thing, that there is a karmic things. 5th house and this. So moving ahead to the 6th house Ketu. Now this is a one place or one position where the Ketu acts totally negatively. As I believe that Rahu is great in the 6th house and Ketu is very well set in the 12th house. But this is just a reverse position, that the Ketu is in the 6th house. What happened that the Ketu in the 6th house, the Rahu is accelerate in the 12th house. So you are doing all the things which you should not supposed to do. You are incurred the loss, you are accelerating your bad habits, you are doing so many negative things. But even though knowing that things, you are not able to control the things. See what happened, as earlier all the houses we have described, that the Ketu is a shadow. It doesn't allow to see what lies beyond this. What is it's not allowing you to open the curtains and to see what is lies behind this scene. So this is the same thing happens. The Ketu in the 6th house means you are walking with your enemies, but you don't know that he is your enemy. You are walking, you are living with the disease, which may make you too much suffer, which may make so much fatal to your body, but you are not aware. Your body is producing so much toxics, so much poison, but you are not aware about it. You might have incurred so many debt. See, that only people think that whatever the money we owe from the others is only debt. No, that means whatever things you owe with the others, you have taken so many good things from others, but you are not giving them in return. So that things also Ketu lies in the 6th house. They create so many deeds which from others. They have taken so many things from others, but unable to return them in their present life. And that is because of this, the Ketu in the 6th house create the hidden enemy. When Rahu is in the 6th house, you can bravely say that he is my enemy. But when the Ketu is in 6th house, you are not able to realize, even though you know he is against you, but you have no option to leave him and you have to live with him. So this is a very critical position of a Ketu in the 6th house. It's a house of disease, we all know. It's a house of enemies, it's a house of many bad things. But ultimately, the 6th house is a house of opposition. The 7th house is house of opposite, whereas 6th house is a house of opposition. What lies within you, but you always oppose it. That is the 6th house. See, we all know the immunity is also lies within our body, as well as the deficiency also lies in our body. Here, the Ketu is keeping your health on the outer shade. It will give you a very glossy picture that you are very fit, but you are underestimating your own capacity. You are underestimating, or sometimes it may say correctly that you are overestimating your own energy, that you feel that whatever you will eat, you will not suffer. Whatever you speak, it will not suffer you. But that is a wrong concept of a Ketu in the 6th house. And you are creating so many deeds, you are absorbing so many good things from others, but you are not giving back anything to them, and that makes you more beggars in the next life. So whatever that things you have already accelerated in the past life, being the Rahu in the 6th house, now there the pause has been kept by placing the Ketu in the 6th house. So by putting the Ketu in 6th house, I believe that even though knowing so many things, I've seen some doctors are ignorant, or maybe many doctors might be in ignorance. They give advice to all their clients, but sometimes they forget to follow same for themselves. And the heart doctor, I seen the heart specialist doctor dies with the heart attack. Why? That's a Ketu in 6th house. You don't know about your own things. You feel that you are aware about the subject, so you don't need anything into the taken care about yourself. Even if you are an astrologer, if you are Ketu in 6th house, means you are giving advice to so many people, but you forget to follow the same instruction for yourself, and you are creating so many deeds. Now, apart from the 6th house Ketu, if we discuss the Ketu in the Virgo sign, as I told you that the Virgo is a purely hardcore sign of a Mercury. The soft sign of a Mercury we have already seen in the logical sign of Gemini, whereas in the Virgo sign, that's a very hardcore relation of a Mercury attachment in the Virgo. That is why we call as a Virgo as a Mula Trikon sign of Mercury, own sign of a Mercury, and exalted sign of a Mercury. Only a planet having three title in one sign, that is a Virgo. You will not find any three title together with any planet except this Mercury. So Mercury sign, and very hard code sign of a Mercury where the Ketu is placed. Here the time is that even though you possess so much knowledge, even you are very much a knowledgeable person, you will not able to explore your knowledge to the world. You will know all these things, all the studies whatever you have done will not be able to utilize. So this is a lacuna, or we can say that this is a Kalapurusha 6th sign, and the 6th house we already discussed. So even though you are intellectual, even though you are having a potential of creating something new, your ideas are something different, but you are sharing your ideas to the wrong people, and they are exploring it in their own name, and you will be not able to get the benefit out of it. So Ketu having a very much potential in the Virgo sign, but the curse of that is that you will not able to explore, you will not able to enjoy your own good thoughts, but somebody will come and absorb your ideas, absorb your research. See, it's like a violation of IPR. As being a legal background, I am. So it's a violation of your own patent, all your own research, all your innovation, your copyright work will be copied by others, and they will publish in their name, and you will not able to do anything about it. So that is a highly intellectual people having a Ketu in the Virgo sign, but be careful. before spreading all your knowledge, you should be secure yourself. But even though after keeping so many precaution, people fall into the trap and they are not get benefit. Okay, whatever the good things you have done, not been paid in this life, no worries. In next life, when Rahu comes in the Virgo, you will be paid everything whatever you will be not paid in the your earlier life. So nothing to worry. But as such, in this life, all your intellectual level, all your knowledge will be used by others. You will be not given a credit. And even though people or so many mass know that you are the creator, but still you will not able to get a credit out of it. So whether it is called a curse or whether it is called as a boon, I don't know. But somewhat it's a Virgo sign. Ketu is not being considered good being. Having a logical mind, you can't change your own perception, and because of that confliction of this, other people take a benefit of it and they will get success about it. So that is all about the small inputs about the Ketu in the sixth house, being a dry up your things, and being Ketu in the Virgo sign, which is also not being considered good for this. But it has not given a debilation. Being a friendly sign of a Ketu, it has not been given debilation. But I feel some that your intellectual level will not going to help yourself. So that's my small inputs about this, and I'm eager to listen your part of sixth house and Virgo Ketu, and I'm handing over this to you. Thank you.
Your insights are wonderful, Dr. Dharmesh, and have a lot to do with my feelings and insights as well. I mean, I can't tell you how many sixth house K2 charts I've looked at who have surprise health challenges. And so even though sixth house is Upachaya house, I like the third position of K2 much more than I like the sixth position of K2, because sixth position of K2 also puts Rahu in 12. So I'd rather Rahu be in sixth house and Ketu be in 12. That's the natural positioning for that. So this is actually the opposite of the natural positioning for that, for Ketu and Rahu, because Ketu is signification 12. However, there is still a positive energy of Ketu in the sixth house of becoming a healer. But as Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, most people with Ketu in the sixth house will not become healer of their own disease. Possibly they will become healer of other disease, like the heart doctor who dies from the heart attack and smoked the cigarette. But there is still, the dentist who has all of the cavities. The irony becomes more and more and more. But the K2 and the sixth house vibration, it's the first three stages of disease, which is the Vikriti. So K2 creates a lot of erratic, unpredictable balance of the doshas within the body, especially because K2 is a Pitta planet. You have to see what sign it's in to see what other dosha, but Pitta will be heavily fluctuating throughout the body. And that can make the person very easily uncomfortable, frustrated, irritable. They can deal with inflammation. They can deal with skin issues. And as mentioned, this is also a house of enemies, and Ketu can create some blindness. And so it's important what you have in your 11th house when you have Ketu in the 6th house, so you can decipher who is truly my enemy and who is truly my friend. And the thing about Ketu in the 6th house, it's hard to know your enemy, because not all enemies, some enemies are hidden. Not all enemies are like, I'm here because I hate you, and I'm out here to get at you. No, some enemies are just more selfish. Some enemies just care more about themselves, and they don't really care about you. So be careful in the 6th house, especially with coworkers, colleagues, Ketu in the 6th house, that really the people that you work with, that you team up with, that you spend your time with, that you're really allies. They have your best interest in their heart. They want you to be healthy. They want you to be happy. They want you to be successful. But if you have Ketu in the 6th house, if the people you are spending your time with do not want you to be healthy, happy, and successful, then do not spend your time with those people, because it will be contributing to your health negatively. Now, also the 6th house is an Artha house, but it separates from the 10th house Artha Bhava, because it's the work that we have to do to get us to where we need to go, which is called paying our dues. So oftentimes with people with Ketu in 6th house, they have to work many jobs, many different jobs, and it's not the job that they want, and it's not the job that's their final destination, and they're not their job that their soul screams, yes, I'm so happy that this is the job that I am doing. But they can still be very busy and making lots of money and very busy with work with Ketu in the 6th house. But because it's not the work that they necessarily want to be doing, it might not be contributing positively to their health. So I always say when strong energies are in the 6th house, let's look at the 10th house. Let's look at your D10. Let's look at your higher career energies so that you can be more satisfied through the work that you're doing, so that it won't impact your health in a negative way. And so those are some of the things I wanted to mention about the 6th house position of Ketu. And because Rahu's aspecting it in the 12th, this means that Rahu in the 12th, it has escapism tendencies. So because Rahu in the 12th has escapism tendencies, people with Ketu in the 6th house, they might use drug, because drug is form of escape. And it's more for coming from the Rahu in the 12th house and the Ketu relationship. They want to escape the reality, because the responsibility of that 6th house Ketu is so strong. So be very careful with addiction with Ketu in the 6th house too. It doesn't mean you can't have one glass of wine at a wedding, but be very careful with the drug. And also with 12th house Rahu, there can be confusion on the path to Moksha. And one of the things that we know is that taking drug does not bring you any closer to Moksha. So don't make that confusion that any type of plant, even if it comes from God, it might show you the work that what you can do to help bring you to Moksha, but no plant on this earth will do the work for you. It is our soul which must do the work. So also consider that for 6th house position of Ketu. Now, when you look at Ketu Virgo, it's not as difficult as Ketu in Gemini. It's not considered debilitation or anything like that, but you're still having logic and intuition come together. So these people get very obsessive and they like to concentrate on things, and they become very obsessed or concentrated on certain things. And it's like, you can call this living in your own little world, or living in your own little treehouse, or living in your own little bubble. Maybe you have a game, maybe you have a hobby, maybe you have an interest, and all you want to do is everyone leave me alone and leave me alone with my interest. And because of Virgo, it's intellectual energies. So maybe the interest is academic. Maybe the interest is books. Maybe the interest is learning. I'm not saying that the interest is negative. I'm just saying that it kind of makes you want to focus on that interest and forget about everything else. And that's part of the uncomfortable version of the Ketu in Virgo, is it really wants to be able to focus on what it wants to focus on. And it doesn't want to be distracted from that. And but Ketu in Virgo actually shows also very good for the study of scripture. They should, because of Ketu and the spiritual signification, they should study scripture. They should study the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutras, Old Testament, New Testament, Buddhism teachings, Taoism teachings, whatever kind of spiritual teachings there are, because this Ketu in Virgo, it has a way of understanding those things in a way and communicating the lessons from those scriptures in a way that other people might be able to appreciate them, especially if it's in a good position. So I just want to thank Dr. Dharmesh as we conclude the first part of our Ketu in all 12 signs and 12 houses. We've discussed Ketu through the first 6 houses and through the first 6 signs, and hope you will stay tuned for our second part. Thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh, for your input, Any concluding remarks which you'd like to share, sir?
Definitely. Meeting soon.